Hello, Trailblazers. It's Rich Rosen, CEO and founder of Fastcall, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes about how we log calls and SMS in Salesforce. So let's take a look inside of Salesforce. So I'm here and I'm in Lightning. I have SMS open. I just was SMSing with this really good friend of mine. His name's Rich Rosen. He's the CEO and founder of Fastcall. What a coincidence. So you'll see here whether I'm in SMS mode or if I'm in the application and I'm in phone mode. And we have we describe our application both on our website and our videos around capabilities. So outbound calls, inbound calls, SMS, and call logging, and then video, screen share, mobile, and then specific deep dives, which I'll mention as we talk through some of our call logging around things like voicemail drop and dial by list. So we break all that down by capabilities with individual videos. Here we're going to do a sort of a higher level on call logging because we do have some deep dive information. So whether it's a phone call or SMS. So if I come in and through the application, I'll see that I made an outbound call, and we'll see recent call information here in the application. And just as a quick note, since we're looking at this, Fastcall is designed in Lightning Design Systems. So these are Salesforce colors and fonts and looks and feels. So your users are going to sit down and they're immediately going to recognize and see that Fastcall is familiar to them. And I can link directly to the record, in this case, the lead, though I have the lead open already, or I can come through here and I'm going to click to um, the call record in Salesforce. So we give a few different options for how records are logged, but we're always logging every call, always. So if the call's missed or it's a failed call, every call is logged. There's no exception to a call being logged. So in this case, it was an outbound call, it was complete. So you'll see that the call type, um, the status could be planned if I had a future planned call scheduled. So for example, if this completed call scheduled a subsequent call, say tomorrow, that we would see a record there that would say planned for tomorrow, and you would see a planned start time. So the completed call, start time, end time, call was recorded, so it's here. The dialing duration, the connected duration, it's all here. We also are logging in detail if calls are transferred. You may see connections. So if I had this outbound call and I had to transfer it, I may have another connection. If I say transfer this to, let's say, a support line, and there was an ACD, automatic call distribution, I may see multiple attempts. So a connection can have multiple attempts. So all of our call logging is capturing in a very granular detail um, users and connections and attempts, the the caller ID that was used, the number, of course, that was dialed, a lookup to the record in Salesforce. It could be a lookup to an opportunity, to a case, um, could be a lookup to multiple contacts if I log the call that way. So all that's being captured in Salesforce, and it's being surfaced in a few different ways. Of course, it's being surfaced. We're showing you your recent calls here in the application. All this data, of course, is going to be surfaced in Salesforce reports. Our application is native. 100% of the application is in Salesforce, so there's no logging of calls outside of Salesforce. So all this detail does not leave your Salesforce org. So your Salesforce reports are going to give you calls by users and duration, and again, lookups, opportunities, and cases. So really highly customized to how you're logging calls, all going to be surfaced in your Salesforce reports. Fastcall also has a dashboard that's going to show sort of a real-time view of what's happening in your org. So our dashboard is going to show current calls, for example. Holding on your IVR. We have, again, specific deep dive information and videos around that. Calls that are in progress, that you can listen to live calls. You can see a dashboard of your missed calls. You can reply to your missed calls there. So our dashboard is a different presentation than what the user is going to see for her own recent calls, which again is a different presentation to reports, which is for analytics. We do give you the option to either create a Salesforce task, which by far is the most common usage of the application, or not create a Salesforce task and only rely on our custom data model for calls. And you'll see within the application as an admin, you'll see that after you set up your call goals, which are for setting up your goals for future calls. So as I talked about a little bit, if your goal was to make 5 calls in 5 weeks and create planned calls, you set that up. The next option in the application is our call logging, and you'll see your options around call results, which of course is a Salesforce standard field. Your options around the Salesforce subject. We can so the option of whether or not you want to create a Salesforce task, it looks like I actually had it off for some testing that I was doing. So I re-enabled that. Now you can see we give very granular options around when and how you're creating Salesforce tasks. So for example, are you creating an open task for missed calls? Or maybe you're creating cases and you can create a case for inbound missed calls. So we give you a great amount of control around how the application is set up. Do you want to be able to capture notes? Do you want to see the call subject? Do you want to see your opportunities, your cases, your multiple contacts? So it's all here for the Salesforce admin. And if there's how calls are ended and terminated, if there's any detail that you have in your Salesforce org, because you have a very specific process, we want to be able to support that. Fastcall is a native application in Salesforce. We only work in Salesforce, and really our number one differentiator is that we want to be really good in Salesforce. So as opposed to other applications that are not purpose-built for Salesforce, maybe they're trying to support multiple different CRMs, and for them, getting something to have basic functionality across 10 or 15 or 20 different applications is their focus. That's not our focus. Our focus is Salesforce. So if you come and say, "Hey, Rich, this is how we're logging a call," we want to be able to learn about that and help support that. So speaking of which, it's probably a good place to wrap up. Send us an email, info@fastcall.com. Send us an SMS, call us, reach out to us in the Trailblazer community. We'd be happy to answer any additional questions about call logging or any of our other capabilities. Hopefully, this was helpful, and thank you for your time.